After a successful guest spot on Jessica Jones, Luke Cage is back, and he's so popular he's bloody broken Netflix. In this video, we'll be discussing our opinions on the new series, but don't take us too seriously. Opinions are just like assholes. Everyone's got one, am I right?
We'll then turn our attentions to cover most of the Marvel references in the show. We say most because, let's face it, who can ever be sure of these things? So if you're hanging around, get your wah-wah pedals at the ready and be warned, there will be spoilers ahead. Can you dig?
Luke Cage makes a strong start. The show quickly establishes an array of fun characters, a great sense of humour, and a likeable hero. Luke's just your average guy working two shitty jobs to make ends meet. Something we can all relate to, except he does it with superhuman strength and bulletproof skin.
But he'd rather forget all that. He's not the hero type, and besides, he's got hair to sweep, dishes to clean, and washing machines to pick up. But Luke's compelled to take action after he witnesses the atrocities of his employer, Cornell Cottonmouth Stokes, as well as the murder of his pop-in-law, Pop.
Cage is a man with values, and he soon realises he's the only one who can stand up for his adopted community. With great responsibility comes great power, man. Or something like that.
There's plenty of intrigue, and as the story progresses, we learn more about Cage's mysterious past, adding interesting layers and an enormous afro to his character. Mike Coulter is again perfect in the lead role. It's delightful seeing Luke strutting around Harlem, whooping people's asses. He's funny, charming, he's even got a sensitive side.
Not all the acting talent is up to scratch though. By far the worst offender is Mariah Dillard, whose ramblings about creating a better Harlem grow tiresome after about 5 seconds. And she beats us over the head with the same routine the entire season.
To be fair to the writing and performing, they managed to craft a character you love to hate. It's weird because she does very little of note outside of endless boozing and scheming, which is fun when you're doing it in person. The Doopies love a pissed up scheming session, but it's rather dull when you're just watching it on TV.
Anyway, wasn't she already in the Marvel Universe?
Hey, we're not onto Easter eggs yet.
Sorry. It's a shame that Dillard is so often used as the spokesperson for the show's themes. As meaningful and as relevant as they are, her uneven portrayal and conniving repetitiveness completely deflate the message.
It's not to say the show isn't enjoyable though. There's some great action, concepts and gags. I was caught off guard several times with hilarious one-liners, and I particularly enjoyed Detective Scarf's warped sense of humour. Hey look, it's that guy from Pulp Fiction, and look, it's Nick Fury in his pre-Shield days too. How did he lose the eye, Doopie? That's what I want to know.
And if Daredevil's the man without fear, then Cage is the man without family. After Pops' demise, Cage becomes a complete loner, going on to battle Harlem's criminal underworld single-handedly. He breaks bones, but barely breaks a sweat. But with an abundance of camera phones on the street, Cage is swiftly thrust into the limelight. And this might just be the freshest thing about the series.
It navigates how a superhero deals with being backed into a corner by the combined forces of the media, politicians and police. There isn't much subtlety to it, but Cage is a divisive figure. Whilst he inspires hope and empowerment in the masses, he draws hatred and fear from those in power because he possesses such a giant and muscular threat. Fortunately, the honest people of Harlem see through the media portrayal, and there's a very cool sequence where people on the street start wearing hoodies with bullet holes to stand united with Cage. Harlem becomes Luke's family.
On the subject of villains, the show is a little bit lacking. Top of the pile is Cottonmouth, and Mahershala Ali installs the character with enough menace and charisma to forgive the many idiotic decisions he frequently makes. How this guy rose to the top of a criminal underworld is beyond me. The Kingpin he ain't. I mean, the Kingpin ain't black for one. Or was he?
Elsewhere, Shades wears shades. If he had a superpower, it'd be not recognising people, like 6'4" black people with big muscles. Meanwhile, Domingo enjoys eating Snickers and throwing the wrappers on the floor, but these drawbacks are nothing compared to the train wreck that is Diamondback. Apparently, daddy issues and sibling rivalry are enough to make a man frame his brother for a crime he didn't commit, then repeatedly attempt to kill him. And seriously, a bad guy who justifies his actions with endless Bible quotes? What is this, the Spanish Inquisition?
What all this highlights is the massive difficulty adapting a character like Cage is, especially since he has such a limited rogues gallery. He's basically untouchable by the vast majority of street level villains. So you have a situation where you have to contrive silly ways to kill him. So we get alien bullets that are deadly to him, and then a police force armed with the ammunition, but for some reason never use it. To add to the unlikeliness, Diamondback decides to take him on in person, for some reason. It's obviously not going to end well for you, buddy.
Maybe a solution would be to introduce other villains who can step up and go toe to toe with Cage. I was certainly expecting more of a surprise in terms of challenges. issues. But then you do have the problem of the fights not being terribly interesting. Look at Hulk vs. Abomination, or Superman vs. Zod, or Godzilla vs. anyone. The temptation to go into villain of the week territory doesn't always work out well. Does it, Smallville?
But Dr. Bernstein's up to his old tricks, and it looks as though we'll see the return of Diamondback before too long. Who knows, maybe he'll crop up in Iron Fist, with Cage inadvertently thrown into action too.
Overall, Luke Cage is a fun, frequently entertaining TV show. There are some standout moments where Coulter gets to shine, and you can really see the potential this character has in the future, if and when he becomes a hero for hire. The theme tune and music are awesome, and there's plenty of style and innovative production value to keep your ears and eyeballs entertained. But thin plotting and the odd poor performance makes this a little lukewarm.
Ultimately, there's not enough substance to stretch the story out over 13 episodes. And truthfully, all the Netflix Marvel shows have struggled to fill the 13-hour time frame, except maybe Daredevil Season 1, which is perhaps still the best example of a Marvel TV show. At least in the Doopie Bros' opinion.
So on to Easter eggs, and as you'd expect, gearing up to the Defenders, there's plenty of nods to the other team members, though none of them actually show up, which was a shame.
Several characters who have previously appeared do crop up though. There's Turk Barrett, Claire Temple, Ben Donovan, and Blake Tower. Trish Walker's voice is also heard on the radio as Luke goes for his run.
Claire refers to a great lawyer she knows several times, and Luke describes a cat that's been running around Hell's Kitchen beating people up. Obviously he means Top Cat. Daredevil.
Frank Castle and Wilson Fisk are both mentioned by name, and Jessica Jones is alluded to as the woman in Hell's Kitchen who snapped a man's neck because he was controlling a mind. Take that, Kilgrave! There are no direct references to Iron Fist, but Claire checks out a flyer with the name Colleen Wing, a character who will feature in the upcoming series.
The wider MCU is referenced a number of times. Many characters describe the Tatari invasion as the incident, with bootleg footage being sold on street corners. Diamondback's Judas bullets are constructed from an alien substance brought to Earth during the incident too.
Pops describes the Avengers as them other fellas downtown, and the individual members are referenced to. Thor's hammer gets several mentions. Cage is described as Harlan's Captain America by Cottonmouth, and he's also holding Cap's shield in the scene. What, you didn't catch that?
Hulk is described as a green monster, bit unfair, and when Method Man does his rap in episode 12, he mentions Iron Man and also describes Cage as a hero for hire. Justin Hammer, the weapons manufacturer from Iron Man 2, gets a couple of mentions also, most notably as the supplier of Cottonmouth guns in the arms deal gone wrong. Not a smart move leaving your name on the box though, bro. Put Stark on there instead and you're laughing, and you get a free bird with every box.
Pop refers to Luke by his comic alter ego Power Man, and we see an iteration of Cage's original costume after he escaped Seagate. We also get a comic accurate version of Diamondback's costume, which it turns out is also manufactured by Hammer.
We see a comic inspired version of Misty Knight at the end of episode 13, and after she gets shot in the arm, Claire explains it could be lost, alluding to Misty's comic book counterpart who has a robotic arm. Claire is referred to as Night Nurse, the character she was rumoured to portray until Rachel McAdams came in and stole her thunder. Or should that be her, Scrubs?
And there's a picture of Stan Lee on display on a poster in episode 12. Coincidentally, the very same image used in the police station in Daredevil Season 1.
So there you have it. A handful of Marvel Easter eggs for you. Maybe even 2 handfuls.
Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to check out these other Doopie videos and subscribe.